with another video. In this particular video, excuse me, Skip and Shannon are going to talk about LeBron James responding to Donald Trump and him saying that, I believe he said that he won't be watching the rest of the basketball season. I'm going to chime in and give my perspective after they speak.
Guys, how we doing today?
Not too well. Not too well. Hold on. Update from the control room.
Yeah, see, Shannon say he ain't doing too good because, you know, Donald Trump attacked his boo, you know.
The Lakers just missed another three down in Orlando. They are the Orlando Tragic now. I don't know what happened.
Okay, keep that in.
Yeah.
Keep that in here for another week.
Here we go. It's a good day here on Undisputed.
I had a couple of tough ones for you, Shannon. I didn't know you were going to handle this. We'll have to see about it.
Bad for us.
All right, guys, I'm going to get right to it because yesterday President Trump said that he would not be watching NBA games after seeing players kneeling during the national anthem. When asked about the president's comments, LeBron replied with, quote, "I really don't think the basketball community is sad about losing his viewership, and that's all I got to say." LeBron added that he's not going to get into it because he knows where it could lead to for him. So, Shannon, do you like LeBron's response here?
I do.
And before Shannon give his opinion on the whole situation, I do want to say, though, that for him to say that, you know, he's not going to watch the NBA, you know, I mean, is that, you know, really news? You know, I mean, honestly, is that really news? You know, and also that should give people an idea of how America is, you know. For a president, you know, who is supposedly at the highest level of office, shouldn't he be worrying about more important issues than, you know, whether the players are kneeling or not? You know, I mean, a real president, you know, would be worrying about, you know, passing legislation, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, doing the things that, you know, come with being the president. But, you know, he has the time of his day to actually be paying attention to the players not kneeling.
I do. Skip, look, we know what President Trump is trying to do, but I just need to know one thing. Skip, are we sticking to sports or are we going politics? I thought we were supposed to do one or the other.
Yeah, it's supposed to be about sports. But for you, Shannon, to say that, you know, are we talking sports or politics? I mean, but let's be honest, you know, on Undisputed, y'all have had plenty of conversations involving, you know, politics and, you know, the things going on around the world as if it does pertain to sports. So let's not act surprised like, you know, the topic of, you know, politics isn't discussed on Undisputed.
That's what they tell you and I, Skip. They say, stick to sports. I turn you guys on to hear sports. Yeah. Well, I thought we elected him to talk politics. But he seems to turn everything into politics, whether it's sports, whether it's about wearing a mask. So everything's become political. Skip, I do like what LeBron had to...
It's not the point about it being political, Shannon. And, you know, I give you credit for being, you know, somewhat of a intelligent brother, you know. But at the same time, what we have to realize as so-called black people, and I said in the previous video, was that this is our captivity. This is not our paradise. So to expect, you know, to be a prisoner somewhere and expect to be treated like a king is, you know, stupid, you know, for a better choice of words. But what people also have to understand is that America is, you know, and I'm not saying this to be a racist, to be racist or to sound racist in any way, but America is the white man's country. And I say that because that is the particular race that is in power at this moment. So so-called blacks, my so-called blacks, brothers and sisters, you can't be upset at everything that Donald Trump may spew from his mouth because, you know, you would say that he's racist for, you know, the things that he says and, you know, some of the actions that he does. But this is also about maintaining that power of the so-called white man. You know, if you cater to another race, that race that's in power is going to lose that power. And we, as a so-called black people, have to understand that. We can't always, see something and think like, oh, this is just so bad. Like, who really gives a damn about him saying he's not going to watch the NBA? And LeBron James, it's something about him just doesn't come off to me as, as being truthful. I feel like a whole lot of things he does are, calibrated for him to do it, and, by his, endorsers and, the people that pay him, I feel like are pushing him to do that because, just honestly speaking, when LeBron has spoke on social topics or, injustice or whatever the case may be, he hasn't given any worthwhile knowledge or information that can really assist us as so-called black people, So holding his word in such high regard, I feel like is, useless. He's paid to play basketball, and that's all he should be focusing on. But once again, that show you how America is. Like, this man making millions of dollars, bouncing the ball and shooting it through a hoop, but he would speak on the level, excuse me, he would speak on the level of the common individual like he deals with the same things that other so-called blacks deal with. But, I really look at it as a farce. Like, I just look at it like it's fake whenever he, expounds on things and, gives his opinion.
And I don't think the basketball community is going to miss President Trump. Look, Skip, LeBron James has made it abundantly clear how he feels about this president. The president has made it abundantly clear in 2017 how he feels about the black athlete that kneels during the anthem. Mm-hmm. He's made it clear. But you have to understand, President Trump is doing this. So no matter how you look at it, Skip, is his approval rating in the tank or is his disapproval rating so high? Whatever the case may be, that's what he's trying to do. And he knows what...
And I don't mean to interrupt what Shannon is saying, but, that whole approval and disapproval thing is just something that's given to us, the common people, to give us an idea that, the president's not doing a good job. The president, like I said, and this goes in hand with the voting thing, the president is never elected. They're always selected, and don't ever get it twisted. Every president that we've had, like, I'm going to speak just in my lifetime, every president I know that we've had didn't win the voting, ballot. If that was, truly it, we would get different individuals in the White House, in my opinion. But if y'all pay attention, the presidents really do pretty much the similar things. It's just that they, a couple of them have different agendas in what they may want to do. That may be the only difference. They're going to sprinkle a little bit of what they want to do in it, but they're still working to the agenda and also the representation of America. And they're going to make sure that they uphold those values, and the things that are already in America, they're going to do their best to keep those things in America.
One thing, what will rouse his base? What red meat can he feed his base to get them energized about the election? Because his disapproval rating is sky high. And he understands, I got to get him out. I got to turn him out. He's always trying to suppress the vote. Well, Florida and Arizona, you guys send your ballots in. Everybody else, you need to go wait.
Oh, one more thing. Like I said, to go back into this whole voting thing, like, like I said, like I elaborated not too long ago in reference to, the disapproval and the approval rating. Like I said, that's just, lies given to us to make us think that, we're listening to, the input of what you're saying about him not being, a good president, or whether they're being a good president, like that means nothing in the grand scheme of things, just being honest. And also, if you want more proof to prove that, the voting system is rigged and that it's not by the true decision of the people, you know, I can't remember the exact date, but when not George Bush Sr., but his son, when he was running for president, if I don't know if y'all remember, you know, I remember this and I was kind of young, but I remember him running for presidency and, you know, everybody's voting or whatever the case may be. And they gave you this, you know, they gave you the idea that, you know, oh, you know, his brother voted for him and that one vote, you know, gave him the, you know, the power and, you know, it skyrocketed him enough to get put into the White House, you know. And that should tell you something that, you know what I mean, for his brother, you know, someone else who at the time was in politics, you know, he wasn't to the same level that, you know, he wasn't one that was working in the White House, so to speak, but he was still in politics. But, you know, that should tell you something in reference to the vote of the common people, because, you know, if the common people really matter, why didn't they just go to a normal individual, or why didn't they, you know, give information on a normal individual that gave their vote and changed and allowed for him to become the president? They took, you know what I mean, they let you know, yeah, Jeb Bush, you know, when he gave his vote, you know, he, you know, that you know, skyrocketed his campaign to help him win or whatever the case may be. And, you know, I could be, you know, giving it a little off, you know, in reference to how I'm saying it, but it happened in a similar fashion to that, as I recall.
12, 15 hours during the pandemic and vote, knowing that blacks are, you know, disproportionately at a disadvantage, so are other minorities about during this pandemic about getting this COVID.
Yeah.
So Skip, I'm not surprised that President Trump has done this, because he knows it gets his base going. Because what did he do, Skip? When he strolled down that escalator, he didn't mention anything about infrastructure. He didn't mention anything about the economy. What was the very first words out of his mouth? Mexico are sending us their worst: rapists, murderers, and drug dealers. So he planted that seed right there, right then. So I am not surprised. I'm not surprised that LeBron took this approach. Doc Rivers says, look, hey, we can fix this problem. I mean, basically, in a nutshell, he's pointed, I think he pointed to his shirt or his hat. Vote. That's what LeBron initiated.
And I see constantly that whole agenda of voting is constantly being pushed, you know. But like I said, I elaborated on that whole idea and that whole propaganda in a previous video in reference to, you know, how, you know, just get out and vote and, you know, you can change this. Like, you know, like they've talked about voting so much as if you go out here and vote, it's going to change the entire world. You know, your vote can barely change the infrastructure of where you live at, as far as your state or even to your locality, your city or county, you know. So that whole idea of voting, you know, is, you know, and I hope people really take in this information, you know, that, you know, it's supposedly spewed to us in reference to the whole voting paradigm, and actually hold that in your mind in reference to them saying that, you know, your vote can do this and, you know, you can change so much, like I said. So when the next election comes and, you know, people are voting, you know, and, you know, like I said, just keep all of this in mind in reference to when the next election comes, you know, if your vote really matters.
It is vote. Somebody doing something you don't like and they hold a political office and they got there by the voting process, you don't like what they're doing, vote their butt out of office.
Doc Rivers yesterday.
Yeah,
Vote.
yeah, Doc, definitely, exactly. So this is what this is about.
Yep.
He's trying to get his base energized again. He's flaming. Skip, his campaign, the polls show, and even though the polls are showing it, we're still going out. We're turning out in droves. Young people, we're turning out in droves because things are not right. And he's handled this pandemic poorly. He's handled race relationships. Skip, this is about this is back to, we're in 2020.
And, you know, I know you said that he handled things poorly, Shannon, and he also handled racial relations poorly. But once again, it is not the other race's job to fix the problems of the so-called black community. It's not their job. It's not their job to fix it, and it's not even their job to care, honestly, you know. So for people to, you know, see Trump, you know, in office. He's been in office since 2016 or whatever the case may be, and you thought that, you know, he was supposed to come in and, you know, have this demeanor for, you know, the so-called, you know, black people or any other race, you know what I mean, besides his own. You think that he's supposed to put them on the same pedestal that he puts his own race, you know? Like I said, the time that we living in reference to America and in the power that the white person holds, you know, this is their reign for the time being. You know, this is their, you know, their time of rulership, you know. And you got to ask yourself this too. If you were a king of your own country, you know, would you be, you know, just taking people's words and just letting them, you know, decide for you what you should do? Just being honest, you know. And that's the problem also with the so-called black community. You know, we don't have king mindsets. We have, you know, commoners mindsets where, you know, we want to, you know, we want to go against the powers that be, you know, but we don't have an end result. You know, we want to go against the powers that be in our captivity. Like, you know, this is our home and we should be, you know, open to freely change things. It doesn't work like that in America. It doesn't work like that pretty much anywhere.
The race relationship is getting even deeper. The wealth disparity between blacks and white is getting greater. And he knows that, and so, hey, let me see what I can do. What can I get them to distract from the pandemic that we got 100 and almost 60,000 people? And they say maybe by the end of the year we'll have 300,000. What can I get them distracted with? Oh, yeah, the anthem. You ain't never nobody talk about no anthem. Mm-hmm. Here he goes again.
Yep. I hear everything you just said. I'm about to tell you why I did not love what LeBron said last night. I didn't love that he said one word about this last night. To your point.
And of course you didn't love it, Skip, you know. And like I said, man, a whole lot of these individuals that you see on television, you know, it's not real, man. Like, you know, Skip, he tries to give you this persona like, you know, oh, I'm for, you know, equality and, you know, I'm for this and I'm for that, you know what I mean? If you ask me, you know, he's a hidden Trump supporter, you know. He just doesn't make it as openly known as, you know, the, you know, average normal American that wants to make America great again, you know.
I have been talking sports on television for a long time, television and radio.
Yes.
And I was taught from the start, as were you,
Mm-hmm.
do not mix politics and sports on air.
Mm-hmm.
You are there to talk sports. So I have always fought against and guarded against letting any kind of politics leak into a sports discussion.
Or religion in there too.
Or religion, or anything other than sports.
Correct.
Right? So I love talking sports. I live for sports. You're much more into politics than I am, so it's probably easier for me than it is for you.
Right.
But I have found myself in the last, 4, 5, 6 months talking more politics than I ever imagined were even in my brain and in my soul and in my heart on television.
Correct.
And that is because our president keeps throwing that door open and talking about sports and combining politics and sports and interjecting politics into sports.
Right.
Maybe that's a great thing in the big picture because it all started when this quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers decided, first of all, I'm going to sit for the anthem.
Right.
And then he decided, no, I'm going to kneel for the anthem. And at first, I didn't get it. And then as I began to listen to what he was saying, it hit me right in the heart. He's right. This is the way to get everybody's attention.
No, it's not. You really think getting on your knee, you know, and kneeling, you really think that's going to get people's attention? You know, the only reason that it actually picked up steam and got attention is because the media, you guys pushed it. You know, if this was just some, you know, if this was, you know, some normal individual, we wouldn't just keep it all in the realm. If this was just some normal black individual, say they were in school, because, you know, I know when I was in school, you know, you had to, you know, put your hand over your heart and, pledging allegiance to something that they make millions of and sell. Like, what is the flag? Because the flag, what it may mean to someone else, man, that isn't what it means to me. And this whole idea, of, oh, the flag and the anthem, like that, those are things, that the so-called white race hangs their hat on as to saying that, this is ours, and us being in America, which is, theirs, we can all say that, oh, the slaves built up America or whatever the case may be, but, the people that built America aren't in power. So, they're not gonna have the same effect in the same range of power as the people that are in power. And like I said, that's something that we have to understand, that, as long as, the so-called, people or a person that is in power, they're going to enforce what's best for their people, and the other people have to get in where they fit in, just being honest.
To deal with an issue that has long been left undealt with.
Correct.
And it's only getting worse. And you know what it is, obviously, the murdering of black men and women unarmed by white policemen. Okay, so we are now, I hope, confronting that issue. Mm-hmm. But the president will not acknowledge that issue.
Right.
He always makes it, do not disrespect that flag.
Country.
Okay, it's your country. It's how he got elected in 2016. Mm-hmm. What was his campaign slogan? It's Make America Great Again. Love and respect our flag. Mm-hmm. And so Colin Kaepernick actually played right into the president's hands in a weird way, because the president could then use that as his campaign motto. The driving force of his campaign was to appeal to that segment of our population who does love that flag. And I love all of them for loving it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if y'all caught what he just said. He's saying that, Trump is appealing to, his demographic. And, Skip just said that he loves those individuals, that love the flag. So basically, you like Trump supporters, without saying it actually, which reverberates the point that I made earlier that Skip is an undercover Trump supporter, He may never actually come out openly and say it, but, if that don't show you right there, I don't know what will.
But there was a reason, there was a method to what Colin Kaepernick was doing, and he loves the flag too. Right. He loves our country too. But
all Colin Kaepernick's method was to get as much attention as he possibly can from the situation, because no one was going to pick him up and actually play them on their team. So, I need to get as much attention as I can off of this topic and this subject, write a book, I can sell some books, I can, make some t-shirts, some merch, and put, some type of, black expression or so-called black expression or something that, bolsters that, idea of the so-called black, Like I said, to me, it wasn't organic to me, His movement and what he was trying to do, it just wasn't, truthful to me, It was just an effort to gain attention and, use that attention to make some money, because you weren't going to make any more money in the NFL. Let's just be honest.
Fortunately, our country hasn't loved him and his community enough to protect it from white policemen. Okay, so we get all that.
Correct.
So I was watching live as LeBron down in the bubble was speaking with his mask on. And it was about the 6th or 8th question. It might have been the last question. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, he's asked about yet another salvo from our president, which happened yesterday morning.
Right.
In which I believe, I'm going to paraphrase this a bit, but I believe our president said, I have done more for the black community than any president since Abraham Lincoln.
He keeps repeating, that's a lie. That's a lie.
And, he's going to put, you know, Donald Trump, he said that he's going to add, you know, Abraham Lincoln into the, you know, idea that, you know what I mean, he, you know, really had a heart for the so-called black people. But, you know, I can't exactly, you know, tell exactly where it's from, but you can actually look it up. Abraham Lincoln was on par with actually sending the so-called blacks, if I'm not mistaken, to Panama or, you know, a particular Caribbean area. You know, he wasn't with the idea of, you know, this, you know, super equality, you know, everybody being together and, you know, all of that other stuff that, you know, is, you know, propagated in the media and given to us. You know, he wasn't really with that. And, you know, excuse me. That's why I tell all my so-called black brothers and sisters, do your research. You know, when you hear these certain things on television, you know, whatever it may be, you know, I know me personally speaking, when I'm, you know, doing my research, whether I'm reading the Bible or, you know what I mean, I'm just looking up something, you know, if I see a word that I don't understand, I'm going to look it up because I want to know what it means, you know. And in this time that we living in, you know, God first, you know, and having intelligence and knowledge. Like, you need these things in this life. And, you know, that's what I hope to give with this channel and with the videos that I create.
Okay, but he said that, so that was part of the question that was proposed to LeBron. And I'm sure that part of the question just hit his deepest hot button.
Right.
Okay. So he paused for a second, and you could see his mind working. Should I? Should I? Should I? And then he began to speak out loud about should I or shouldn't I? And he said, I don't know about this. He says, I already know where this could go, where it could lead to for tomorrow for me. I'm not going to get into that because he realizes that if he fires back, then it's likely that our president today will then fire back at LeBron via Twitter or whatever, maybe in an interview, right? Because he needs LeBron to fire back.
Correct.
He needs him to acknowledge and to give credibility to what he said by responding to it. You are just, unfortunately, fueling his fire.
Correct.
So in the back of my mind, I'm saying, as I'm watching live, just don't do it. Because I know what LeBron James thinks of our president.
Right.
He once called him a bum.
A bum.
He called him our so-called president.
Right.
Okay? So I don't need him to reiterate that. I know. Shannon Sharp knows deep down what LeBron thinks of Donald Trump.
Right.
Correct?
Yes.
But he just couldn't stop because of the Abraham Lincoln comparison. It's like, I can't. And so he sort of stuck toe in water.
Right.
And then the water felt good. It felt warm. And it started to heat up. And then he got rolling and he began to feed off himself. And it was great. And he went on to say, I think our game is a beautiful game right now. It's in a beautiful position. And it is. And the truth is, our president often exaggerates what ratings are, and he said that ratings are down in the NBA. Well, they have been for the whole regular season, but in the bubble, they started off with a bang.
Right.
Now they've calmed down a bit because the games are being played in the morning. We got Zion playing this morning at 10:30 Pacific time, so it's a morning game. Well, you're going to have a hard time getting a big number off that game.
Even though some people are still at home, they're still working.
No, that's true. They are still working. But you're not going to get a primetime number off that game.
Right.
And he does get into voting, and he does get into how November is right around the corner, and it's a big moment for us as Americans.
Yes.
Okay, way to go. But the game will go on without his eyes on it, and he winds up saying, I could care less. The truth is, the way you should say it is, I could not care less. But people understand, I could care less about that, what that means.
Yes.
Okay, bang, love it. But I don't love the impact of it because you might just be refueling his fan base. Because we talked yesterday about the Jonathan Isaac syndrome, and we kicked around the potential reasons for Jonathan Isaac's jersey flying up the charts to number 2.
And, you know, in reference to that, you know, I wanted to chime in, you know, before the video ended, but I will say this though, that you know, for our, like I said, for our president just to have the time to, look at who's kneeling during the NBA games and, just the things that he shouldn't even be worrying about. Like I said, that should just show you just how much of a joke America is. And, when LeBron, like, sorry about that. Skip was saying that, he was thinking, like, no, when LeBron was, he wasn't thinking. I'm sure he was thinking. I take that back. He was thinking, but, he didn't have the slightest clue on how to, give it in a more intelligent manner, He just going to give it, when he said, I'm sure, you heard Skip said that he seemed very mad when he had said something about Abraham Lincoln when, if you was to go to LeBron and really ask him to give you some detailed information and, some real information on Abraham Lincoln, he most likely wouldn't be able to provide it. Just being honest, and, before I stop, but before I end this video, also, like, these celebrities and, these individuals of, prestige and millionaires and people that have money, the voting system doesn't affect them, because whether Obama was in office or whether Donald Trump is in office, LeBron James is still going to get his money, Your celebrities and whatnot, they're still going to get their money. But, I just wanted to expound on that. And like I said, give my opinion. And, I just want to give information to, my so-called brothers and sisters so I can, just, elevate their mind and their spirit also, But God bless.